Have you ever wondered what happens when the Irish culture meets the ruthless world of the mafia? Picture, if you will, a melding of two worlds, as distinct as they are similar, coming together to form a unique blend that is as fascinating as it is terrifying. This is the world of the IRISHFELLAS, where the tenacity of the Irish spirit meets the unyielding might of the mafia's underworld. The origins of the IRISHFELLAS are as humble as they are gritty. Born out of the rugged landscapes of the Irish countryside, their story begins like many others, in a world of poverty and strife. Life in these rolling green hills was not easy. The people endured harsh weather, unforgiving landscapes, and a society steeped in centuries-old traditions. Faced with these hardships, some chose to bow their heads and endure. Others, however, chose a different path. It was from this crucible of adversity that the IRISHFELLAS emerged. These were men and women who refused to be victims of their circumstances. They were determined, resilient, and unyielding in their pursuit of a better life. And so they ventured into the world of organized crime. It was a world that promised power, wealth, and respect, commodities that were in short supply back home. The IRISHFELLAS, with their unique blend of Irish grit and mafia ruthlessness, quickly made a name for themselves. They were respected, feared, and in some cases, even admired. But the world of organized crime is not for the faint of heart. It is a world where loyalty is bought and sold, where friends become enemies at the drop of a hat, and where betrayal is as common as a handshake. It was in this world that the IRISHFELLAS found their place. It was here that they would face their greatest challenges, make their deadliest enemies, and ultimately, carve their own path. And thus begins the tale of the IRISHFELLAS, a saga of power, betrayal, and redemption. The path to power is never easy, especially when you're an outsider in the world of organized crime. The IRISHFELLAS, an entity that started out as a handful of ambitious men from the Emerald Isle, knew this all too well. They were the underdogs, the outsiders, the new kids on the block trying to carve out a piece of the pie in a city dominated by Italian mafia families. Their rise to power was anything but smooth. It was an uphill battle, filled with struggles and setbacks. The IRISHFELLAS had to contend with rival gangs, law enforcement, and internal strife, but they had something that set them apart from their competition. A relentless drive and a cunning strategy. They started small, their first major operation being a daring heist that netted a significant amount of cash. It was a risky move, a gamble, but it paid off. This audacious act put them on the map, and the IRISHFELLAS were no longer just a couple of unknown Irish guys trying to make a name for themselves. With newfound resources and a reputation for audacity, they began to expand their operations. They diversified their criminal activities, investing in illegal gambling rings, loan sharking, and even political corruption. They were not just surviving, they were thriving. But power doesn't exist in a vacuum. The IRISHFELLAS had to form alliances, navigating the treacherous waters of organized crime politics. They made friends, but they also made enemies. Rival gangs saw them as a threat, and tensions flared. The streets became a battleground, a chessboard where every move could mean life or death. The IRISHFELLAS, however, were not deterred. They stood their ground, fought back, and defended their territory. They were not just participants in the game of power, they were now major players. In the world of the mafia, power comes at a cost. For the IRISHFELLAS, it was a price they were willing to pay. But as they say, what goes up must come down. The fall of the IRISHFELLAS was nothing short of a Greek tragedy in the world of organized crime. Their descent was fueled by a combustible mix of internal conflicts and external pressures. The powerful empire they had built was beginning to crumble from within, and the world outside was not kind either. The first cracks in the facade appeared when internal conflicts started to brew. The IRISHFELLAS, who once stood united, were now divided by greed, ego, and ambition. The leadership was questioned, loyalties were tested, and trust was betrayed. The once invincible brotherhood was now a battlefield of its own, with each man for himself. Key personalities played significant roles in this downfall. The ambitious and ruthless Jimmy the Gent Burke, whose insatiable greed led to reckless decisions. Then there was the charismatic yet volatile Tommy DeSimone, whose violent tendencies proved to be a liability. And let's not forget the influential and cunning Paul Polivario, who was caught in the crossfire of power struggles. As the internal conflicts escalated, external pressures began to mount. Law enforcement agencies were closing in, with relentless pursuit and incriminating evidence. The IRISHFELLAS, once feared and respected, were now the hunted. Each arrest, each conviction, was a blow to their power and reputation. The once thriving empire was now a sinking ship, with its key players either behind bars or on the run. The streets they once ruled were now battlegrounds for rival gangs, eager to claim their territory. In the end, it was not just about the fall of an empire, but also the fall of men who had once stood tall, men who had tasted power, wealth, and respect, only to lose it all. Men who had lived by the sword, only to die by it. The fall of the IRISHFELLAS was as dramatic as their rise, a testament to the volatile nature of power in the world of organized crime. Every story leaves a legacy, but what is the legacy of the IRISHFELLAS? The IRISHFELLAS, a name that rings with notoriety, has left an indelible mark on the world of organized crime. Their rise to power was meteoric, their fall cataclysmic. Their story is one of ambition, power, and downfall, a whirlwind narrative that has left an impact not only on the underworld, but also on the public's perception of organized crime. The IRISHFELLAS were not just criminals, they were architects of an empire. They built an intricate network of power and influence that spanned across continents. They redefined the rules of the game, and their audacious ventures reshaped the contours of the mafia world. Yet, their story is not just about their deeds, but also about the myths and misconceptions that have grown around them. Some view them as Robin Hood-like figures, others as ruthless villains. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. They were neither saints nor devils, but complex characters driven by ambition and shaped by their circumstances. The IRISHFELLAS story is a stark reminder of the paradox of power. Their rise to the top was paved with ruthless decisions and audacious maneuvers, but their downfall was just as swift, a result of the same hubris that had propelled them to the top. Their tale underscores the perils of unchecked ambition and the ephemeral nature of power. The legacy of the IRISHFELLAS is not just about their impact on the mafia world, but also about the lessons their story offers. It's a story about the pursuit of power, the consequences of unchecked ambition, and the inevitable downfall that comes with hubris. It's a cautionary tale that resonates beyond the world of organized crime, offering insights into the human condition and the timeless struggle between ambition and morality. The IRISHFELLAS, a tale of ambition, power, and downfall, will forever be a part of mafia history. The saga of the IRISHFELLAS is a captivating tale, full of twists and turns, power plays, and dramatic downfalls. We've explored their meteoric rise to power, their grip on the underworld, and their inevitable fall. We've seen how ambition fueled their ascent, and hubris led to their demise. They carved out a legacy that still echoes today, a cautionary tale of unchecked power, and the consequences of choices made in the shadows. Their story, like a classic mafia movie, is a blend of intrigue, betrayal, and redemption. It's a testament to the human condition, the dance between morality and desire, and the thin line between right and wrong. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of the IRISHFELLAS and want to explore more such fascinating stories, subscribe to our channel. Remember, history is full of tales waiting to be told, and we're here to tell them.